And we are live. Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to this last lesson of the week, the final lesson of the week for upper intermediates, advanced, and IELTS students. In this lesson today, we are going to look at developing our writing skills. I think one of the things I will build on with this is we'll look at some new words eventually, putting things into context. But we're going to look at trying to the word is incorporate, meaning using different bits of grammar we would know by now, unit 1, 2, and 3 of upper intermediate, and how we can start putting things together and being able to write well, in particular putting our thoughts down on paper. So we're going to start off with generally talking about a topic, and then we'll go from there. I'm just going to share the video online so more people can join us, and then we can get on our way. I hope everyone is doing well and keeping fit and healthy. I needed to do some exercise today. I have not done any exercise today so far. Actually, I haven't done any exercise this past week because I haven't been 100%. Nothing to do with the coronavirus. I've just had an annoying. I ate something that didn't agree with me. But I'd like to do some exercise after this. The only problem is that at the moment the weather's really bad. It's terribly dull, dreadfully dull, awfully dull. If you think back to one of the earlier lessons, maybe last week, I spoke about using adverbs before adjectives. And that's where we can use things like awfully dull, dreadfully bad, to emphasize that something might be worse, or really bad, so to speak. And today the weather isn't really that good. Let's see. I think in terms of the context of what we can look at is, I think we can do this actually within the idea of there being a problem. And I think if we go with that idea, that would be quite good. So we're going to go with the concept of finding, what we could say, finding fault, finding a problem with things. Now, there's finding a fault physically, with physical objects, and there's finding a fault with arguments as well. Sorry. We can also use it in terms of finding a fault with arguments, or finding a fault with physical things such as technology, for example. So we can go with that sort of we can go with that approach. In terms of grammar, we'll have a little look at the grammar side of things with should and shouldn't have or should have. But I also want to focus on the wider context of just how you can develop your sentence structure. So far, we only have 2 people. Let me know who you are, and let me know if there's something specifically that you want to focus on, or maybe you've done a bit of homework, or you have a question and you don't know what the answer is. You've written a bit of text. Feel free to talk to me in the live chat. Okay, so let's start off with this. What is a fault? Let's start. So when we talk about fault, okay, it means that something's wrong. It doesn't work. Now, if we go with the subject of, let's say, start off with something like mobile phones, I tend to find that it's easy to find a fault with a mobile phone. I think with mobile phones, one of the biggest problems, the biggest fault with a lot of mobile phones, is probably more to do with the battery. I find the battery goes very quickly on certain phones. It's one of the things that's always probably put me off, put me off, which from buying another Apple phone. Now, put me off means something that makes you no longer um, interested in something. So that put me off. The battery for mobile phones can put me off. The memory, the way it works, that can put me off. I think when looking at we can even use this term with films, for example. Now, if you're watching a film, you might be watching a film, you find a fault with the film. Maybe it's a historical film, and you think, "Ah, that's not quite right," or you look at a scene and you think, "Ah, there's a fault with that." And it depends how big the fault is. Sometimes it's a minor fault and it doesn't put you off. Other times it's a really big fault and it really puts you off. One of my examples would be if you guys know an actor named Toby Maguire. Now, Toby Maguire acted in Spider-Man back in the early 2000s. Early 2000s. Um, Spider-Man 3 was so awful. I think it's one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my life. It was so awful that it put me off Spider-Man. I no longer like Spider-Man. I still cannot like Spider-Man. I don't go to watch Spider-Man movies. I just think it's awful. And Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3 was, I don't know if I can really say it's his fault as an actor, but the whole film was terrible. So I found a lot of fault with the film. One of the things which I thought was really interesting that I was watching, there's Sandra M. Hello, Sandra M. And hello, Yorga. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. What's the opposite of expression? Oh, right. So you're talking about the expression of something. To express something. Let's see. Um, it depends on the context, actually, Yoga. Um, put me off. What's the opposite of expression? No, wouldn't be put me off. Put me off is not going to be the opposite of expression. You have you do have an unexpressed. Depends on the context. Let's see if we can narrow it down with a context. Um, hmm. You know what? To express non-expressive, we'd have to go with the adjective of express or expressive. So in this case, inexpressive, non-expressive. Probably that would be one idea. Uh, because it depends on the context. I mean, you can have an expression of color, an expression of art, for example, and then you can have something that's very closed off, very quiet. So in expression, we need a lot of context with expression. It's got a wide range of uses, and it depends on the context. Um, let's say I know football, a football player, expression, football player showing expression would be someone showing maybe anger, frustration, or you could say the opposite of showing expression in that case would be to be non-expressive, non-expressive. I mean, you don't show emotion. When I'm really interested, if you're really interested, then you would go with intrigued or really interested. That would be my answer for that. Um, Now, I've forgotten what I was originally talking about. Yeah, it put me off. Yeah, I was. That's another expression actually. You put me off. If you put me off, it means you can also put me off. Can also be to distract. Actually, you put me off. I was thinking about this. You said this. I started to think of that, and now you put me off. I can't remember what I was saying. So that's another use of the phrase. So that was it. I was talking about mobile phones. So that's what we mean anyway. Going back to the subject, that was it. Fault, finding fault. Now, you can also find fault in not just in films. You can also find fault in music. That was it. I was about to tell you a story about what I was watching where someone was finding fault. So, if any of you like computer games, you might like a computer game called Call of Duty. I was watching a YouTube video of this South Korean Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL, so no longer a Navy SEAL. In the past, he was a Navy SEAL. And he was playing Call of Duty. And he was looking at the game and he was commenting on what the game did well, what the game got right, as well as finding fault with the game. So he would find things that were not realistic or movement that soldiers would not do. And that was really interesting. I quite like watching reaction videos where you have an expert looking at a video of a representation of what they know and the expert talking about it. I saw one as well of like a former army people watching war movies and commenting on the war movie, saying yes, that's realistic, no, that's not realistic, and finding fault. So we can now we know what finding fault is. We can then move on to the next thing, and we can look at other bits of language we can use when we're discussing fault, and we'll eventually move this on to writing and finding context as well. So let's start off with this one. It doesn't fit. If you do have an upper intermediate book, this is on page 30. When something doesn't fit. Now, this can be in a lot of different contexts as well. You can, if it's technology, it's always it can be like it doesn't fit. You can also have it as it doesn't go, or it doesn't go with something. It's a bit like, for instance, you're making a bolognese, or you're making a pizza. You are making a pizza. Now, I take pizza seriously. It's a serious business. When you make pizza, you pour love into making pizza because it is such a fantastic dish. Simple but easy to get wrong. So you can think of ingredients that fit, that go with pizza, and ingredients that do not go with pizza. Now, if you talk about your tomato, your mozzarella cheese, your salamis, that fits. That goes with a pizza. Now, when I was in Chile, I probably saw the worst pizza in history. It didn't go. The ingredients did not go with it. It did not fit a pizza. The person ordered an Hawaiian. Now, for me, an Hawaiian is already a big problem. I maintain pineapple does not go with pizza. Pineapple does not. It doesn't fit, but people do like it. But then, what they did was they took it to another level of disaster. They added olives and pineapple at the same time. That doesn't go as a flavor. I would never dream of putting pineapple in my mouth and then followed by a black olive. I couldn't think of a worse combination. It's a terrible combination. It doesn't fit. It doesn't go. Now, that's when we're talking about ingredients. On the other hand, if you're talking about something physical, it could be like you're talking about your glasses, you're talking about the lens, for example, or the screws. You're trying to fit it in and it doesn't fit. So that's the physical form of something fitting. It's also like a top as well. You might have a top, you put the top on, you can't get your arms in, it doesn't fit. You then have scratched. It was scratched. Okay. This is a very common problem with mobile phones. Now, in the past, screens used to be really bad and they would scratch easily. These days, I think the screens are a bit better. My screen doesn't scratch as easily. It still scratches a bit now and again, but overall, they're much better than in the past. And if you drop your phone, if you have a cover, it's okay. Um, I mean, it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Next one. When I tried to put it together, I realized it had a bit missing. Okay, what do we mean by a bit missing? It simply means that when you're trying to put something together and you're missing a piece, then there's a bit missing. There's a bit missing. Again, it's like you make a pizza and someone just takes a small little bit from the pizza before you cut it. And you look and you notice, you can see there's a bit missing. Someone took a bit of the pizza, not even a slice. They just took a little bit. It was supposed to be for sensitive skin, but it gave me spots. Oh, right. Okay, so this is now image. Okay, spots. Spots are spots on the face, for example. Spots is, red on your face. And that could be finding fault. I do know that if you are in the modeling industry, people will find fault with your skin if you have spots, for example. Next one. When I filled it the first time, I realized it had a leak. Okay, what is a leak? A leak. Okay, other than the vegetable, a leak. This is actually talking about a leak, like a leak tap. Like, for instance, at the moment, I have a leak in my shower. Whenever I have a shower, there is a hole somewhere. There is a leak, like a hole, but a really small hole. So when I have a shower, water, comes out onto the floor, and it's like, well, where's the leak? I can't find it. I still cannot find this leak. I have been looking for the leak for the past 2 weeks. I can't find it. I know where it must be, but I just can't find this leak. So a leak where water can come out from. One of the worst types of leaks, I have to say, is a car. Like if there's a leak in the seal of a car, for instance, driving and getting a bit of water in your face while driving, that is annoying. I only wore it for a week and the strap came off. Okay, strap is what you wear. Let's say let's say you're a woman, you have a bra, you have your strap, and it comes off. That's what it means. Like if you're wearing you have a strap and it comes off. Fell apart. Okay, something can fall apart. Something can fall apart. So what we mean by this can be physical. Let's say if I drop my phone and it breaks, it can then just fall apart. It just comes apart, basically. We can also do this in terms of like a football team. So one of the things that really annoyed me about my football team last year, Manchester United, at the end of the season, is that the team just kept on falling apart. And this is when a team doesn't work as a team. They try to work as individuals, they don't play well, and they lose. And that's what we simply mean. Another example of falling apart are buildings. So in Malta, When they pull down a house, the house falls apart. Or if you're in an earthquake area and there's an earthquake and a house falls down, then the house falls apart. So that's what we're talking about. And that's what we mean. Those are some things that we can use when talking about finding fault. Now, how can we write about it? How can we talk about this in our writing, and how can we develop it? First of all, we need to think of the language. Finding fault often means that you're going to be talking about the result. You might not always be talking about the cause. And if you are talking about the result, then you would need to use the passive. And this is especially when we start applying it to different subjects. Now let's look at things where we can find a fault, and we can use this in terms of. We'll start off with, let's say, a good topic whereby we can use some of these things. Okay. We'll put this for now, we'll put this in the context of building something. Okay. And where we can find fault with it, and we're going to talk about it. We can also compare these things as well. So my general idea would be if we compare something from the 90s with the 2000s. Now, I grew up in the 90s, so I really like certain things from the 90s, more so than today. One of the things that you used to find as a problem with the fault sort of thing would be, now we've got a few things. There's tapes and then there's CDs. So we'll go with CDs. Simply put, I remember when you would buy a DVD and it was on a CD or music, and you would want to play it. Now, the thing that used to happen a lot would be that it would get scratched. The CD would get scratched. The CD would get broken. The CD would go missing. You've got this would go. So the CD would go missing, would get scratched, would get broken. You could say, instead of would get scratched, you could say would end up scratched, or would break, would end up broken, actually. You've got this would be. You've got this would, and when you talk about when you use this would, it means in the past. You're talking about things that you know happened and would often happen. It was not a surprise if it happened. So when you're talking about this kind of thing in the past, you use would. Now, I remember with CDs, you would buy a CD and it would end up scratched. You buy a CD, you would give it to a friend and it would go missing. There were lots of things that could go wrong. And you could end up finding fault as well. I mean, these are faults. These were faults with CDs, for example. You then have, from there, you ended up moving on to the iPod. Now, if you remember the first iPod, I liked the old iPods. Actually, you would have to. Well, they were smaller. They were a bit thicker. You would use your thumb to go around and then up and press play. You didn't have access to internet or anything, but I remember I used to like the iPod. I mean, nowadays you don't need an iPod. In fact, why would you buy an iPod? You've got your mobile phone. You just keep everything on your mobile phone. I remember when I would walk around with both a phone and an iPod in my hand. When I actually, I did not really appreciate my first iPod. It was nothing special to me at the time. I remember it was a Christmas present, and I don't know why, but I think it was because I didn't like music as much as I now do. These days, I love it. It was before were. It was before I was introduced. Notice the passive. It was before I was introduced to the likes of AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. It was before that time. So my knowledge of music wasn't very good. I didn't like the main stuff that was out there. I never liked Kylie Minogue, for example. I didn't like the music, I mean. So I didn't really know what I would listen to on iPod. Um, but I think you then had it, or you then got your mobile phone eventually with your which was an iPod and a phone in one. Now, the thing about again, if you move on to those time, I mean, if we were to find a fault, you would say that they were good. Moving on from a CD, you could have way more. You didn't always have to change the CD, for example. But I think with technology, you are always going to find fault. I don't think you can't not find fault with technology. I'm sure you guys can even find fault with the likes of Netflix, for example, or Amazon or Disney. Speaking of Disney, we can then also discuss about finding fault with Disney movies, in particular, what they did to Star Wars. I used to love Star Wars. These days, I don't like Star Wars as much as I did. It's not to say the movies aren't entertaining. It's just that if I were to find fault with the movies, is I just don't think the storylines are as good as they used to be. Um, you can't. I don't find I don't become as gripped with them. So let's start looking at what we can do when we do discuss finding fault. We will also have a look at how you can explore in terms of. Let's start off by reporting fault. So you're talking. You want to report to someone. You want to send an email, for example, that you've bought something and it is faulty. That's the adjective. So you find fault, and then you can find. So there's something where you find fault, and then the adjective, because fault is the noun, the adjective is faulty. Okay. Now, let's have a little look. When you are writing to someone to report that what you have is faulty, for example, first of all, you probably don't know who you are writing to. So this is where you'd use an introduction of to whom this may concern, comma, and then you would write your email and you would finish with yours faithfully, and then yours. Sorry, there's a spelling mistake with faithfully there. Yours faithfully, comma, and then that's it. Then your name. Yours faithfully means with honesty. That's what it really means. What I have written is honest. So, how do you go about writing, reporting that there's something that's at fault? Well, first of all, we can go in with the opener, which is I would like to bring your attention to. So, to whom this may concern, I would like to bring your attention to, and then you state what you're going to complain about, your fault. So let's say we're talking about an iPhone. I would like to bring your attention to the. I would like to bring you to. I would like to bring your attention to my recent purchase of a mobile of the iPhone X. Okay. So this is your opening sentence. I would like to bring your attention to my recent purchase of the iPhone. If you're not too sure what this sentence is saying, you're simply saying, very politely, I want to talk about this iPhone X I bought a few days ago, for example. That's what you're saying. So when you say, I would like to bring your attention to my recent purchase, of the iPhone X, that is what you're saying, but it's a very polite, formal way. You then go through and state what the faults are. So you would then say, unfortunately, unfortunately, there are a few. Now, this is where you can start using terms like there are a few issues or problems with the phone. First of all, let's say the charger doesn't fit with the phone, and phone cover I was given uh, didn't go with the phone. So what have I done here? I've gone in with introducing the first problem by saying first of all. Then I've gone in with my subject which is a problem, which is the charger doesn't fit with the phone. I've used an active there. Then I've moved on, and the phone cover, now this is the object becoming the subject, and the phone cover I was given didn't go with the phone. You can see here I've used the past simple passive. I have not stated that the salesman gave me this because that is not important. What is important is that the phone cover that was given to me does not go with the phone cover. So to state this problem, I've chosen to go with a passive. And this is now going to be a continuation. If it's something to do with the service, okay, the service, you're going to use the passive. So to continue, so second of all, I was not told that I was not told that my contract would not let's go with this. I was not told that that the phone was let's go with a passive here. Second of all, I wasn't told, okay? Second of all, I wasn't told that the phone had been previously used. Now, that's quite an interesting sentence. Second of all, I wasn't told. I wasn't told. So now this is a negative passive, past simple passive. I wasn't told that the phone had been previously used. Now I've gone in with something quite complicated. Here is a past perfect passive. So we can then end up saying, now, and finally, actually on top of that, so we're saying something even worse. On top of that, the screen came off. Okay, the screen came off. So you've now stated the three problems with the phone. You've used the passive, you've used the past simple, you've used a mixture of active, but predominantly there's a lot of, you've used passive when you're talking about the result of the action. So now you're then going to finish off. Please kindly take note of the following issues, and I look forward to hearing um, let's say, and I look forward to hearing from you in the near future. Now, this is how you can end it before you sign it off. So this is the next thing. It's always important to be polite. And this is where you can say, please kindly take note of the following issues, and I look forward to hearing from you in the near future. What are we saying here? We're simply saying, please look at the problem, and you are in fact saying, when you say, I look forward to hearing from you in the near future, you are saying, and I expect to hear from you soon. That is what you're actually saying. Now, you don't write that because it's a little bit too, it's not polite. So I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, you can say, please look at the problem and I expect to hear from you soon, but it's quite blunt and it's not necessarily polite. If you say, please kindly take note of the following issues and I look forward to hearing from you in the near future, that's good. That is good. That's polite as well. And it says the same thing, except it's not, we would say it's not an aggressive tone. You've stated the problems, you've stated you have found fault with a number of issues, and so you're now going to do that. You've reported it. And this is how you write a reported email. An email to report a problem, a fault with, in this case, your mobile phone. You will see, what have we done? First of all, we've used discourse language. We've used the signpost words. Now, this is something you cover in IELTS, but you've used first of all, second of all. On top of that, to introduce each point that you want to talk about. You've used the past simple, you've used the past simple passive, and you've used the past perfect as well. You've also used the present simple as well when talking about the problem with the phone. If you're talking about the problem with the phone, you're using the present simple. Because you still have it. If you're talking about something to do with the customer service, the customer service, at the time when you bought the phone, then you're going to use forms of the past, and this is where you'll probably use the passive. Now, I'm going to give you guys some time. I'm going to give you a structure here, and I would like to see you guys complete the text. I'm going to ask you guys to try and complete the text for me, okay? So let's take a few things here, okay? So what you need to do here, guys, is I'm going to share something with you that I'm going to put together now. I would just like you to complete the email. And let's see here. We'll go with this. Here I'm going to leave things blank. Let's go of okay. So this is the first part of the email. I would like you to. This is the first part of the email that I would like you guys to try and rewrite for me. Hello, Irina. And Sandra, thank you very much for your kind comment as well. So this is the first part. We've got to whom this may concern. I something like to bring your attention to my something purchase of the camera XLG, for example. So I'm going to give you guys just a minute. You need to think of two words. And if you can think of the two words, you can then complete the sentence. You can then complete the sentence, the opening sentence to this email where you're going to complain about the fault. So this is language that we have just looked at. So can you try and complete this for me? If you look through the live chat, you will be able to see the examples of the words as well, if you haven't taken notes. So I'm just going to give you a minute and see if you can complete this. To whom this may concern, because you don't, that's a point actually. You use this to whom this may concern when you don't know the person to whom you are writing. You don't know their name. So if you don't know the name and you are, this is the first time you're writing to them, it's a formal email, you can go with to whom this may concern. This is mainly because you don't know who needs to read the email. So to whom this may concern, I blank like to bring your attention to my blank purchase. Okay, so the first one, you need to think of a modal verb that we have looked at. And you also need to, with my, like to bring your attention to my purchase. Here, we're thinking of a word that we have used. It begins, if you need a little bit of help, this word begins with R. It begins with R. I'll give you 30 more seconds, and then I'll let you know what the answer is. Okay, 10 more seconds. Okay, so here we would say, to whom this may concern, I would like to bring your attention to my... Yes, well done, Sandra. Yes, it would be would. I would like. Can you guess what the second one is, though? It begins with R, and it's an adjective. Oh, okay. What has Arena done? To whom this may concern, I would like to bring your attention to my previous purchase of the camera. Okay, my previous purchase of a camera. It does make sense. I would go. Let's see what Hyorg has gone with. To whom this may concern, I would like to bring your attention to my second purchase. Maybe. I mean, the context does make a difference. Technically, you could use previous. Technically, you could use second purchase. But if it is a purchase that was not very long ago, then you would go with recent. My recent purchase. But what you guys have used can make sense. It just depends on the context of time as well. Okay, so we're off to a really good start. Next little bit. Okay, let's see here. Let's go with this. Oh, no. What did I do? Okay, right. That was a mistake. Made my screen really small. So this is the next thing that I would like you guys to do. See if you can complete this. Blank, there are a few blank with the camera. There are a few with the camera. So here you need your opener. If you go up through the text, you should find what it is. You've got a few options here. It is going to be an adverb. It's called an adverb clause, and then you are going to go with a particular word that whereby you're saying that there's something not right with the camera. So I'll give you guys 30 seconds, and then we'll see what the correct answer is. Okay, 15 more seconds. Okay, so what's the answer? You've got a few options in the first one. You've got you can go with unfortunately. First of all, there are a few. Sandra, yes, you could go with that. You can go with, first of all, there are a few something with the camera. That's not wrong. But if you want to go in, the other option is to do this. Problems. Yes, that is correct. Yes, we are going to need the word problem or issues, problems and issues. Now, the word I'm thinking of here is let's see. And okay, so if you want to start off something, you've got these three options. Unfortunately, there are a few. Regrettably, there are a few. And sadly, there are a few. And here you could go with problems, issues, or faults. So those are the three choices you can go with. Regrettably, there are a few faults with the camera. Regrettably, or sadly, there are a few issues with the camera. Unfortunately, there are a few problems with the camera. So that takes you through to the next part. Now, let's look at the next section. Okay, we've got one. We'll do the next section in one big chunk as well. Okay, we'll do the next two actually. So, because otherwise I'll run out of room to write. So, blank. And because we would use case instead of cover for a camera. Okay, let's go with this. Okay. Right, so here we go. First of all, the charger. Oh, okay, I forgot to change phone with camera, but please change the camera. So first of all, the charger fit with the camera, not the phone. And the camera case I was didn't go with the camera. Second of all, I wasn't told that the camera had I ruined that last bit. Actually, let me do this again because I got distracted because my alarm my thing went. So I'm going to do this one again because I've noticed there's a few issues here. So let's try this again. Camera, and the camera case I was given didn't go. We can change that to with it. I was something that the camera had. Blank and blank, but we're looking for the word damage. Okay, right. Let's try this, guys. So we've now got this. So first of all, the charger something fit with the camera, and the camera case I was didn't go with it. Full stop. Second of all, I wasn't that the camera had previously So you've got a few things there. So let's see if you guys can try and complete the missing words. So you've got there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 answers here. We need to think of 5 answers. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes, and then we can have a little look. Then we can have a little look. Do 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 do. Okay, any ideas for the first one? First of all, the charger. So we need some kind of verb. So first of all, the charger doesn't fit with the camera. Yes, and the camera case, yes, doesn't. Yes, that's the answer to the first one. So well done. The answer to the first one is doesn't. Now, and the camera cannot. The charger cannot fit with the camera. Okay, I would say this, Irina. Yes, you can use that in the sense that it makes sense, but grammatically speaking, for this context, it should be doesn't. I wouldn't use cannot in this instance. So now let's look at the second bit. And the camera case, I was, didn't go with it. So here we need something else. We need some kind of verb. And this might be a passive of some kind. So trying case. So the camera case I was trying didn't go with it. Okay, actually, if you go for the past continuous, Jorge, that actually works. So that's not wrong. I was thinking of a different word, and I'll give you guys some more time just to think what that other word might be. But to say that the camera case I was trying didn't go with it, that isn't technically incorrect. I wouldn't use it in this case when complaining about a fault, but it is technically grammatically correct. Let me see. I'm going to give you guys 20 more seconds, and then we'll move on to the answer. Okay, so the answer here that I was looking for originally was given, because you are given things, for example. So then we could move on to given. Now, we then move on to, second of all, I wasn't that the camera had. So here, to help the speed along, okay? Number 3, we need something to do related with tell. That the camera had. Here, we need something related to be. And the last one is indicated already, something to do with damage. So I'm going to give you guys a minute. Can you try and complete this, the last 3 answers for me? The word number 3, we need to think of the verb tell, but we need to put tell in the correct format. Same with be, same with damage. Let's see what you guys come up with. You've got 3, 4, and 5. 3, 4, and 5. Let's see what you guys come up with. We only have 5 minutes left of the lesson. Okay, Hyuga, tell, yes, told. Sandra, you are correct. In this case, it's going to be told. I wasn't told. This is because this is going to be a passive. Irina, told. Being damaged. Irina, well done. Fantastic. Those are all 3 correct answers. So Sandra, well done for told. Jorge, well done for it's told. Irina, you got all 3 right straight away. So good stuff. Been, yes. Yusef, well done. Told, been, and damaged. Well done. Excellent. Good stuff, guys. So quite simply, we'll now skip on to the last thing. Here we go. Can you guys try and complete this for me? In this case, I'm just going to give you an idea of what the word might be by leaving the first letter of the word in. So this is the last exercise before the end. Please kindly note of the following issues, and I forward to from you in the near future. The first one is the words you need to be thinking of are related to words take, look, and hear. So it depends on, you need to put these 3 words into their correct form in order to complete this sentence here. And that will then take us to the end of the lesson. So let's see what you guys come up with. Okay, I'll give you guys 30 more seconds, and then we will look at what the correct answers are. Please kindly, something related to take note of the following issues, and something related to look, forward to H, related to hear, from you in the near future. Let's see what you guys come up with. 15 more seconds. 15 more seconds. Sandra, take, look, hearing. Well done. Good stuff, Sandra. I'll wait another 10 seconds, and I will tell you if you are correct with all 3. Yusef, please kindly take note of the following issues, and I look forward to hearing from you in the near future. Irina, take a look here, dash, 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 dash. Okay, so you weren't too sure about the here one. I can tell you, Yiseth and Sandra, you are 100% correct. Yina and Irina, you got take right, you got look right, and the last one is hearing. So well done, guys. Fantastic stuff. And that is how you can write an email to complain or to report that something that you have bought is faulty. That is how you can use, that's a sample of an email that you can use to do that. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. Please look out over the weekend for the times for next week's lessons. I will aim to do 2 to 3 a day, depending what time I start and depending what time I can finish. Next week I will move on to the next unit as well of each one. Thanks, Richard. Thank you, Yiseth. And I'd like to, yes, a shout out, Sandra, Irina, Yiseth, Jorg, and anyone else that I might have missed that participated in the live chat. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for participating in the lessons as well. I hope you have a very good weekend. Remain healthy, remain fit. And I will see you next week. Please like and share the video. And like I said, please continue to look out. Please look on the AM Language website to make sure that you know when the lessons are going to be held. So thank you very much. Sandra, thank you very much. Yes, you too. Have a nice weekend. Bye for now, everyone. Thank you.